The first time he noticed her, she was crouched in the shadows near the edge of the city market, a small bundle of glowing light barely hidden beneath the hood of her tattered coat. Jackson had been on his evening walk, his mind heavy with the mundane worries of a routine life. But the way she moved, light, precise, almost fluid, made him pause. She snatched a loaf of bread from a vendor's stall before anyone could notice, barely leaving a ripple in the crowd. Her movements were so graceful, almost elegant, that Jackson could only gape as she vanished into the alleys, leaving behind only a faint, sweet scent, like flowers blooming after rain. The next night it happened again. And the night after that. Every evening, without fail, something would disappear from the same corner of his small grocery store. At first, he thought it was a thief like any other, a desperate kid or a petty criminal. But the pattern was too peculiar. The items were never expensive, never useful to a standard thief. Bread, milk, a small bundle of fruit, nothing he would consider worth stealing, and yet night after night it vanished. One evening, curiosity got the better of him. He stayed late, pretending to close the shop, and watched. That's when he saw her again. This time, her face was lit by the soft glow of the street lamp, revealing delicate, unusual features. Large, luminous eyes that shimmered like liquid silver, skin with a faint, pearlescent hue, and hair that seemed almost translucent. She froze when their eyes met, but she didn't run. Instead, her tiny hands clutched the stolen items to her chest, and she spoke, though not in words he understood. Jackson's heart skipped a beat. Alien. That was the only word that fit. But there was something else too, a trembling desperation in her gaze, a weight of fear he couldn't ignore. "Hey, you don't have to steal," he said softly. His voice sounded strangely loud in the quiet street. She tilted her head, staring at him, and after a tense moment, she handed him one of the loaves of bread. She made a gesture toward her chest, then down the narrow alley behind her. Realization hit him slowly, like dawn breaking over a distant horizon. She was feeding someone who couldn't get food themselves. His heart clenched. "Your mother?" he asked, pointing toward the alley. The girl's eyes shimmered brighter, a silent nod confirming his guess. Her mother. Hungry. Alone. Jackson didn't think twice. He left the shop unlocked and walked with her down the alley, careful to keep his tone calm and unthreatening. The alley ended at a small, hidden courtyard, cluttered with makeshift shelters of tarps and discarded metal panels. And there, lying on a cot, pale and trembling, was another of her kind, smaller but still distinctly humanoid. She coughed weakly, reaching out toward the bundles the girl carried. She's sick," Jackson whispered, almost to himself. The girl's eyes glimmered again, nodding fervently. He knelt beside the mother, placing the food gently on the cot. The sick alien stirred, weakly touching the bread, and her eyes met his. There was gratitude there, fragile and flickering, yet undeniable. I can help," Jackson said, finally understanding the stakes. "You don't have to steal from me anymore. I'll make sure you have food." The girl hesitated, as if mistrust was in her very nature, but slowly, cautiously, she stepped closer. Jackson could see the conflict in her eyes. Fear of humans, the need to protect her mother, and the hope he was offering. Days passed, and Jackson kept his promise. He began leaving supplies near the alley, enough for both the girl and her mother. Over time, he learned to communicate with her, through simple gestures and a few drawn pictures. She was clever, intelligent, and startlingly aware of the human world, yet naive in her trust. Her mother's condition gradually improved with proper food and care, and the girl's relief was palpable, the tension in her body loosening with each passing day. But life in the city wasn't easy for someone like her. Other humans began noticing strange lights in the alley at night, murmuring about mysterious sightings. Jackson worried. He couldn't protect her forever, especially if someone dangerous decided to intervene. One night, as he left the food and turned to go, he heard a voice, a human one, gruff and accusing. "Hey, who's been sneaking around here?" Jackson froze. From the shadows, a group of men emerged, rough and imposing, holding clubs and flashlights. He stepped forward, shielding the girl. "It's okay," he said, firm. "She's not doing any harm." The men laughed. "Not doing harm? She's been stealing from the market every night. She's feeding her sick mother," Jackson said, voice rising. "Isn't that something you do for your own family?" The leader hesitated, taken aback by Jackson's calm conviction. The girl hid behind his legs, trembling, but he could feel her gaze, full of fear and trust. Jackson held it firmly. She was under his protection now. After tense moments, the men grumbled and left, muttering complaints but didn't touch them. Jackson exhaled deeply, relief flooding him. The girl peeked out, her eyes wide, shimmering with unspoken thanks. Weeks turned into months. Jackson became a quiet guardian, bringing medicine he researched from old texts, learning how to care for a species not of this world. He even managed to convince a few trusted friends, who marveled at the tiny, glowing girl and her mother. They were fragile, yes, but there was strength there too, a resilience born of necessity. One evening, as Jackson brought fresh food, the girl did something he hadn't expected. She reached out, touching his hand with her glowing fingers. There was a warmth in the gesture, a bond forming that transcended words. It was gratitude, yes, but also recognition. A human and an alien, united by kindness and compassion. "She'll be okay now," Jackson whispered, smiling. "No more stealing. No more hiding." The girl tilted her head, then pressed her small hand to her mother's forehead. A soft, pulsing light flowed from her fingers into the sick woman, and Jackson watched in awe. Her mother's color returned, her breathing steadied, and the glow faded from the girl's hands, leaving her looking exhausted but peaceful. "You saved us," the girl's mother said, in halting musical English she had learned from Jackson over time. "You a humankind." Jackson shook his head. "I didn't save you. We helped each other." From that night on, the girl and her mother stayed in the alley, no longer hiding, no longer stealing. Jackson's shop became their refuge. People whispered, but no one dared question the man who had saved an alien family. One day the girl, now stronger, looked up at him with those luminous eyes and gave him a tiny bow, a gesture of respect, gratitude, and perhaps something more. Jackson smiled, realizing that this strange, luminous child had changed him as much as he had changed her. The city went on, bustling and indifferent, but in a quiet alley near the edge of the market, a human and two aliens lived together in fragile harmony. And every time Jackson walked past them, he felt the same awe he had felt the first night he saw her, This alien girl, stealing food not out of malice but out of love. Sometimes he thought the universe had a funny way of teaching humans about compassion. And in that tiny lesson, they all found something worth stealing: hope.